After an encounter with federal investigators in the heart of a busy Minneapolis neighborhood. It happened this afternoon on top of a parking ramp off Hennepin and Lake in Uptown. The U.S. Marshal Service says a federal task force was trying to arrest a wanted man. The man flashed a gun and investigators shot him. WCCO's Mariel Moe spoke with people who heard the deadly exchange. She's live near the scene tonight. Elle?
Well, Jeff, law enforcement actually left and cleared the scene about an hour ago, but no less than 15 minutes later, the protesters moved into Lake Street and began impeding traffic once again after police had already opened it back up. You can see behind me, they're in the intersection right now in front of the parking ramp at Lake and Girard. They've taken the crime scene tape and thrown it over the street lamp for Girard Avenue. They've also moved metal trash bins from the sidewalks into the intersection, as well as giant dumpsters. Now, besides the shooting just shutting down the intersection here, it's also forced major businesses along this popular section of Lake Street to shut down early, including LA Fitness, Target, and Stella's Fish Cafe. And I spoke with a server earlier who said he had to take cover when shots rang out.
As I was taking their order, there's about 8 to 12 shots that rang out. We ducked down.
Dulce Harmston was serving customers on the rooftop of Stella's Fish Cafe when the shooting happened on the top floor of this 5-story parking ramp next to what used to be Calhoun Square.
We saw one girl, female, taken out of the van in handcuffs, and then we heard that there was another male there. CPR was being performed.
We learned that a U.S. Marshal task force attempted to arrest a man wanted for possession of a firearm by a felon. U.S. Marshal Service says the fugitive was in a parked car on the top of the ramp. They say he didn't comply with the arrest and then showed a gun. That's when members of the task force started shooting. The man died on top of that parking ramp. We're told a woman was also in the car at the time of the shooting and was taken to a hospital with injuries from glass debris.
I hope that it was justified. I hope that, it was the right reasons, and I hope that they made the right call in that situation.
Soon after the shooting, a crowd gathered near the blocked-off ramp, assuming this shooting was unjustified. For Harmston, who works and lives in Uptown, he wants more answers as to why our community continues to bear the weight and trauma of officer-involved shootings.
We as a community and we as a people have to look at ourselves, but then we also have to look at leadership, and we have to start at the home level and why this keeps on happening over and over again.
Now, we do know that Hennepin County deputies were involved in some way in this task force. We just don't know what role they played exactly, and we don't know what agency fired that fatal shot. However, Jeff, we do know that it was not a Minneapolis police officer.
Shot by law enforcement at the top of a parking garage today. You can see that was a dumpster that this group set on fire at Westlake and Girard, again in Uptown. Right now, the fire seems to be contained to that dumpster, but there's very little of it left.
A crowd about this size has been gathered, and then they dissipated and then have gathered again. And this was in response to and after a shooting death on the rooftop of, you may be familiar with, in the old Calhoun Square area, there's a parking garage. At the top of that parking ramp, U.S. Marshals shot and killed a wanted fugitive. And we don't have a lot of information about him or what the circumstances were other than he was wanted. But we do know that this crowd has been there gathered since this afternoon about 4 o'clock, and we'll be keeping an eye on this just to see if it escalates at all, but we wanted to bring you the latest information.
All right, so we're going to take a break and do